The number one way to attract quality corporate clients is to establish yourself as the go-to subject matter expert in your field. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips to help you establish yourself as the go-to name on everybody's lips when it comes to your area of expertise. Hi, I'm Bev. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. Now, I've spent more than 6 years working with corporate businesses, predominantly in the menopause awareness training field, including working with big corporates, government organisations, and SMEs, or small to medium enterprises. And I was doing this before menopause was a conversation that was topical or fashionable. And when I first got started, as this wasn't a conversation people were really having, I had to establish myself as a thought leader in that space, as an SME or a subject matter expert, not to get confused with small to medium enterprise, all these acronyms. But I had to establish myself as the go-to person, the name on everybody's lips when menopause awareness in the workplace was talked about. Yes, there were other people out there doing this. Of course, I'm not that unique, but there weren't many of us. Nowadays, there are far more people doing what I did, but there still needs to be this element of being seen to be an expert if you are going to get those corporate contracts. And the reason being, nobody's going to buy from you if they don't think you're an expert in your field. Nobody's going to buy from you if they don't think you know what you are talking about. And by establishing yourself as an SME or a subject matter expert, you are positioning yourself as the go-to person when a business needs somebody to come in and talk about your subject, or to deliver programs or webinars or workshops or whatever it might be. So let's dive in to the very first tip. The first tip is to create really good quality content regularly and consistently. And that could be anything from LinkedIn posts, LinkedIn newsletters or articles, blog posts, podcast episodes, YouTube videos. It could be getting on other people's podcasts or doing live streams on LinkedIn. But basically, you want to create content that helps you to show up as the expert. So that means creating content that establishes you as a thought leader. So this may well be creating content around the things that you teach, any proprietary systems or methodologies that you've created in your field. It could also be sharing informational content, so things like articles that you've come across, anything that shows that you're staying up to date with what's current and topical in your field, and sharing that content regularly. It's also about perhaps talking about your lived experience, your professional experience. It's about sharing if you get a new qualification. It's all of those things that build your credibility. You do it through regular content. And the reason it needs to be regular is you need to be seen. People need to know who you are. You need to show up regularly. A great place to do this is LinkedIn. In fact, I think of all the sort of social platforms, LinkedIn really is the one that you need to be on if you are wanting to sell in a corporate or a B2B environment. In fact, I would almost argue that it's not social media. I would argue that it's just a very large networking platform. So having good quality, regular, consistent content is absolutely key to showcase you as the expert. One of the things that often comes up is the fear of being judged or questioned about your unique take on a subject. And that comes down to really having confidence in the fact that you've done your research, you know your topic, you know your subject, you've got the qualifications, the certifications, you've got the t-shirt, whatever it might be. But you need to have faith in the fact that you know your stuff, and not everybody is going to agree with what it is you are teaching, but that's okay. In many ways, that in itself is a differentiator. You need to be able to get out there and show your ideas, your take on the subject, ideally, as I said earlier, your proprietary methodologies, but you've got to be out there creating regular and consistent content that people can see, that gives that reassurance and trust that you know what you're talking about. My second tip is quite closely related to tip 1 around creating lots of content. You also need to be engaging with your audience on social platforms, and particularly on LinkedIn. If you have a podcast or if you have a YouTube channel and you're sharing content, then making sure that you engage with the comments that come in is also important. We also need to be seen as relatable and approachable. If corporate businesses are going to work with us, not only do we need to be seen as an expert, but we also need to be seen as easy to work with. So a lot of the audience engagement is about building trust and creating strong relationships online that we can then translate into the offline world. And a lot of this, again, LinkedIn is so good for this because it's so easy to go and find your ideal clients on the platform and then start engaging with their content. And then hopefully they'll start to engage with your content and we can start some really useful conversations. Tip number 3 is to really get out there and start networking and collaborating with other people within your field. It's effectively getting yourself in front of other people's audiences where their audience is the same audience that you want to get in front of. So that's not to say that you have to be networking with people who do exactly the same as you do, but think of other people within your field that complement one another in terms of your subject matter expertise. So when we're thinking about networking, obviously we've talked about LinkedIn being a great networking platform, but there are lots of other places that we can do that. We can do that in person, we can do that at trade shows and expos, we can do that through specialist groups, perhaps groups on LinkedIn, although I have to say I'm not a huge fan of LinkedIn groups, but Facebook groups perhaps, going to industry-specific networks. So if there are networks specific to your area of expertise, then getting involved with those groups, speaking at events, again, going to networking groups and offering to give a talk, again, establishes you as a thought leader and positions you in such a way as that you are that person that is going to be top of mind when somebody mentions your area of expertise. Tip number 4 is to offer a bit of a taster of your expertise. So offering a free webinar or a free workshop where people can come along and see you in action can really help to establish you as that expert in your field. Okay, I'm just going to interrupt this video for a moment to let you know that I've got a free resource for you if you are just getting started with working with corporates and you're not entirely sure what you need to do first. I've created a video training that you can get for free. I'll put a link in the description called 5 Steps to Landing Your First Corporate Client, and it takes you, as well as establishing yourself as a subject matter expert, it also looks at defining your market, understanding your messaging, figuring out your business model, and building a client generating machine. So if you want to get a hold of that, it's absolutely free. Link in the comments. Back to the video. It's also an opportunity for potential clients to come and try before they buy, to see how you deliver your content, to see how engaging you are, to see whether you're a good fit for what that organization needs. You might not be, and that's okay, but it's a great opportunity to get in front of potentially ideal clients who may well continue on and buy from you. And when you deliver a free webinar, for example, you can then repurpose that recording and maybe send that out to potential clients again to help establish you as an expert in your field. Tip number 5 is about staying up to date with what's going on in your industry. This is about staying up to date with any current studies or any new research that's coming out, changes that might be affected by perhaps environmental factors, political factors, technological factors, societal factors, that whole sort of pest analysis kind of stuff. Making sure that you're on your phone so that you can see any articles or any news, keeping abreast of what's going on. A great resource for this is to have a Google Alert set up, items that can provide you with additional content that you can share with your audience. Not only does that help your audience, but also that you're up to date with your subject. So there you go. They are my top 5 areas that I think if you focus on are going to help you to establish yourself as that go-to subject matter expert. So just to recap, we are looking at creating high quality, consistent content that showcases your knowledge and expertise and positions you as the subject matter expert. It's engaging with your audience, engaging with other people's audiences to get you seen and recognized as a thought leader. It's about networking and collaborating with other people in similar fields to you. Number 4, offering free webinars and workshops to give your ideal clients the opportunity to try before they buy. And number 5 is staying up to date with current trends, educating yourself on anything that is topical within your area of expertise. And if you're still on the fence about whether or not working with corporates is for you, and maybe you've got some beliefs that maybe you think working with corporates is too difficult, I want you to watch this video next where I bust the 3 big myths that are holding most wellness coaches back from tapping into the corporate market. I'll talk to you next time.